2, 1. Hey Shorties, welcome back to the Short Asian Girls podcast, where we talk about everything Asian from a 5 feet point of view.
This podcast is about music, fashion, food, cheesemate, and of course just being short.
Now, again and again, we may not be ABGs, but we sure are SAGs, and we will talk about everything and anything related to it.
Woo! And unlike some of our episodes, we do have a very, very special guest.
Special guest today,
Mr. Honoré.
Mr. Honoré.
Hey. What's up, ladies?
So we'll have you introduce yourself.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Well, my name is Honoré. I'm an R&B singer-songwriter producer from Los Angeles, and I'm happy to be a part here as a guest on your podcast.
Thank you for being on the podcast.
Yes.
So, I guess just since you just introduced yourself, you want to tell everyone about like what you do in the industry, anything that you want to plug?
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, I'm a professional singer, songwriter, and producer. I create pretty much all of my music, write and produce it, and R&B is pretty much my forte.
Yeah.
I'm known for that as much throughout the industry, and I love it. Yeah.
And then, how long have you been in this industry, or like, just how long have you been doing it?
I've been in this industry since like last week. You know, I just started.
This is like 5 days ago.
I was on the corner of. Professionally, I've been doing it for like 8 years. But I've always been singing since I was a kid.
It's always been a passion.
Yeah. Well, it was just a hobby. It was just something fun to do. And when I say professionally, that's like when you're just strictly doing it, you're getting paid for your work. So I've been blessed to have a really cool career thus far. And I'm happy to really be here and just like chop it up with you ladies.
How has the journey been getting to where you are now versus like before?
The entertainment business is always challenging, acting, singing, it doesn't really matter. But I think for me, just being persistent and like hitting that wall so many times and being able to like shake it off and get back up to try to figure it out, because in this industry you need to find your niche. And I feel so far that my niche is where I'm at right now, like just being me, authentically me, creating the type of music along with my branding and everything that I am passionate about is very important.
What honestly made you, since you mentioned before that it was kind of just like a hobby before, what made you kind of decide like, hey, I want to do this as a career?
The money.
As it always
money.
is.
No,
the money.
No, I'm joking. I just feel like as you evolve in life and you find something that you're really, really passionate about, and it just moves you. And I felt that music was a great way for me to communicate to whoever was listening, whether it was like 5 people or 500 or 5,000.
Exactly.
So it just really snapped in my head, like, I really want to do this. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I really would like to do this as a career.
Did you like, I guess like, because everyone kind of gets into like the music industry differently. There's some people who did it while they were still young, like, whereas for you, you chose it on like later on. Did you like learn it in school, like the production side, the writing side, or did you kind of just like learn it all on your own the moment you decided that I was like, hey, I want to do this?
It was a collection of all of that. I grew up here in Los Angeles, and I was pretty blessed to be in arenas where there's like legends of like really cool people, and I didn't really knew who they were. But I have a wonderful mentor. His name is Mike C, and he is a very famous producer, and he's worked with like the legends of like Babyface and Blackstreet, all the 90s cool people. And so I'm that little kid hanging around, and I had auditioned for a boy band, and I got the part, but I was just kind of in the studio a lot. After everybody would leave and be like, we're going to go to the club and we're going to do this, or we're going to hang out.
Your scene?
And I was just too shy for that. So I was the kind of kid who kind of stayed in the studio and just asked questions like, what does all this do? And how do you create this? And Mike C really kind of took me under his wing and showed me production and how to record properly. And and he would like give me tracks. He was like, write to that. because that was my way of communicating, was writing. I wasn't really like a popular person or very outgoing personality. And I was pretty reserved. But through that, I started to write and like creating my songs, and to see it turned into fruition like a really full-fledged song. It was really dope. So I owe it all to him.
And then I guess I know that you really look up to Prince.
Yes.
I believe you call yourself like a student of Prince.
Yes.
Because I watched some of your other interviews, podcasts, or like whatever is like a written interview, and also your latest album, Purple.
Yes.
So who else do you look up to that kind of helped spark that musical interest, other than Prince, obviously?
Well, since R&B is my favorite type of music and the music that I do, I just wanted to like learn from it, and like, you know, you have to like go to the start of certain things to really understand, like, I mean, there's the artists today, contemporary artists, I love them. You know, Miguel is like a really good, big favorite of mine. Daniel Caesar, obviously, her. Really, really awesome contemporary artists. But I go back to the start, and that's where Prince was. But besides Prince, I really like Usher. You know, he's like he's the new king of R&B. You know, and I know it's kind of controversial, but R. Kelly, like, I know he's
had some questionable,
the personal stuff. I always take that away. I mean, it is what it is, what he did. But the music, you cannot escape his catalog and his approach to writing. You know, songs for Michael Jackson, songs for, you know, I Believe I Can Fly Out. That stuff is like classic nuclear bomb hits, you know. So R. Kelly, who else? Babyface, obviously. I like those guys. Jodeci, that 90s was like so pivotal to like for me to like learn. And then like, I want to be like those dudes, you know. Yeah. So, yeah.
And I feel like I can really hear that in your songs too. Like that really big inspiration of R&B, like you mentioned, because when I was talking to you before, when I first met you, and then you mentioned that you made that music, and then I listened to your music, I was like, this is definitely actually that vibe. And you're like one of the few artists that actually kind of mirrors the kind of music that they like, because a lot of artists that I've met before will be like, oh, I like these artists, but then the music that they make is like a complete different style, which is not a bad thing. It's just that I find it interesting that you're one of the few people that actually embodies that whole kind of character.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. After I met you last time too, like listening into your music, like it really brought back the old style of music. And that's what I like. I've been looking, honestly, like no judgment to any of the songs nowadays, but like it's nice and refreshing to hear styles of music like before. So, cause like
this is the 90s R&B was what we grew up on.
Yeah. Like so, I had like my older sister or my two older sisters who were born like 1985 and 1993, and so like it's a lot of that music that I heard growing up. So I feel like hearing yours was very refreshing.
Yeah, I agree, and thank you for that. You know, in this industry, there's always executives or somebody that says, you know, we want you to be the next, you know, Weeknd, or the next Justin Timberlake or something, and I've always been anti that. I think a lot of artists, we love who we love, you know, and we admire these people. I really love all those guys, you know, but we can never be that. I can never be Usher or Breezy, you know, there's just no way. But stripping it all back and just kind of going back to the basics, like I can be me though. Yeah. Now, what does that mean? How can I be the best version of me with each and every song, each and every project? That's been kind of my goal. And, you know, I'm a 90s kid too, so I listened to it. My sisters would play all these cool songs, and it's part of my DNA. So why would I change that? You know, I mean, there's definitely great artists right now that are just like popping. I love it. But for me, I just felt like I want to be as authentic as possible. I know there's a market for that, you know, and it's not even just a small niche. R&B is just exploded with all these amazing artists, including myself, to do great 90s, early 2000s R&B.
Since you mentioned that is something that I kind of hear commonly, where it's like, oh, this person's the next Beyonce, the next Usher. Do which honestly, that's kind of like a double-edged sword. Like the intent is good, like they mean well, because obviously these artists are amazing, but at the same time it kind of has the ability to kill someone's creativity, because then they'll feel like they have to follow like a template.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, you can't be someone else that's already existing, you know.
Yes.
And I feel like with new artists nowadays, it's so much harder to get your foot in the door because everyone expects you to sound like someone else. So how do you feel like when you started hearing that, when you entered this industry, did you feel like you wanted to stop music at any point?
At times, at times, because you're always in. It seems like you're in constant competition with everybody else, and you have to be the hottest. You got to look the coolest. You got to do this, and when you're chasing trends, you're always going to be behind it.
Yeah.
It's good to be knowledgeable of what's going on, but it's also greater to just know your self-worth and just believe in yourself. I think that is really key, no matter what, because there's times when I've like sung my heart out, and when you sing your original stuff too, and people are just like, they're gone.
Yeah.
They're just nowhere in the club. But you keep going, And then after the shows, there may be one or two people that come up to you that is totally unexpected and says, "Look, I really listened to your vibe and it's dope. Keep going." And they just don't know it yet. They haven't caught up to you, Now, if I sing covers, then everybody knows that, and that's a way of like bringing the attention, and then you kind of slide your originals in. But I'm just a very down to earth person, and I really enjoy the music that I make, and I just want the people to feel it too, know. Sometimes it lands and sometimes it doesn't, but we keep going.
Yeah, I was like telling AJ, like when we every time we meet, I always tell her, I'm like, whether or not this podcast becomes
a big thing, or if there's like only 2 monthly listeners,
it's really like inspirational to hear you say that, because it's never going to be perfect in anyone else's eyes, but as long as it's what you love and what you're doing is what probably is the most important, whether it's podcasts, music, videos, movies, TV shows, anything,
Absolutely.
And then earlier too, we had another interview, and then we had our own solo episode, but we talked about how ultimately the only kind of enemy that you have at the end of the day is yourself, because you can have all the supporters in the world, or you can have no supporters, but it's kind of up to you what you do with it, because no one's gonna make your decisions, no one's gonna make your dream happen for you. You can use everyone as a stepping stone to kind of boost you up, but if you don't want it bad enough, it's not gonna happen.
I agree.
But since you mentioned that it was a passion or like a hobby first, the music, what does music mean to you now? Since it is obviously other than a profession or a hobby now. Music
is the heartbeat.
It's what keeps you going.
It's the heartbeat of life. It's the soundtrack of the world, honestly. Doesn't matter what type of music it is. People relate to whatever it is. And it is life. It is the bloodline of everything. And I appreciate it more as you go along and you kind of just evolve. We all evolve, and it's everything to me.
Yeah, and I mean, going into more deeper of the music, was family ever in part of it?
Or were they supportive the moment you started?
Me and AJ were talking about because for me, I am full Filipino.
Okay.
I was born and raised here. I'm very lucky. My mom was like, "Oh, do what you want to do," kind of push for that. And my whole mom's side was that generation where they're like, "Oh, do what you want to do. We're here for you when you need it." But for some people, it's very challenging in that sense. But has family ever been a part of that journey?
It was interesting growing up, because I'm mixed with Filipino too, and so you have all these different sides of. I see black people here, my cousins, white, and then Filipino. So, I want to believe that they supported me the best way they could. I didn't have the traditional momager in the sense baby, we're gonna push you out there. None of that. My dad, he was very different too. I just figured this is something that I want to do personally. I didn't know. I just kind of went out there And, you know, being a mixed kid, people come up to you and like, okay, we don't know, you know, people think I'm Puerto Rican or something. I'm like, no, I'm not, I'm none of that, you know?
Yeah.
But being asked to like do cool stuff, like in the industry or model or whatever. And I was totally against that. I was like, there's no way. I don't think I look cool like that. But I like music, you know, so music kind of stuck. And then as I got a little bit older, I was a little bit more open to doing like photo shoots and you know, modeling, because it is a segue for exposure, and that's what you want.
And then since you mentioned being mixed, and I remember our first encounter,
Yes.
that was the conversation that I remember us having. Being someone who's of like different, I guess, races is the best way we can really say it. Do you feel like when you started getting into music, was that kind of like a factor in your creative process, or like how you wanted to be viewed by other people?
I believe the opinions of others, it just kind of made me feel like, I don't really care about this stuff. But it's like, no, you're mixed. You're going to be the pretty boy. I'm like, I don't really care about any of that stuff. Did it play a part in marketing? Yes. Because since for any mixed kid that's out there, especially when you're like black and white or Filipino, you know, I have these cultures in me, and it's like, we can market you to this part, especially to the Filipino community, which has been, I love it. I love being mixed with the culture. It was a struggle at first because I didn't grow up Filipino. I grew up from LA. I'm a black kid, you know, light-skinned dude, just, you know, 5 foot something. So we're in the 5 feet club. Just trying to fit in. Like, I was trying to be black. I tried to be white because, you know, like, I have white cousins. That didn't work out. And then a friend of mine's like, dude, you are Filipino, or you're mixed with Filipino. You could blow up there, dude. You could just be like the man over there. And I was like, okay, you know, so word got out about this singer, and I found some management, and they kind of took me under. I had some songs recorded. They sent them over to the Philippines, and it kind of blew up. And enough for them to say, who is this kid from LA? Let's bring him out to the Philippines. So going to the Philippines and meeting all these famous Filipinos, it was a great experience. I love it.
It's funny that you say that, because I feel, I can't really speak for other cultures, but Filipinos love to do this thing where it's like, even if you're like a 10th Filipino, the moment you say you're Filipino, you're like, hey, they're Filipino. Like, I think it becomes this like kind of welcoming gesture that it doesn't matter how much Filipino you are, you'll just be welcomed no matter what. And I think that's like funny, but then also at the same time nice and cool.
They were cool. They didn't believe it though. They did not believe it.
Because they were like, oh, you don't look.
Yeah, I'm like, seriously, guys? Like, why would they? But once I was like, yeah, my Lola, and I was talking about pancet and the food, then like, okay. Then they kind of, I did a couple of TV shows, and, you know, I was in Manila. Eat Bulaga.
Oh, I love that one.
You've been to like the OG like
I was in
TV
GMA7
shows.
There's a big place called the Araneta Coliseum.
Coliseum, yeah.
I was there. I performed there. I opened up for the Pussycat Dolls with Nicole and all the girls. So it was like really huge. It was a big deal, and it was popping. I was doing really like on the up. And then, but I didn't embrace the culture as much because I'm a kid from LA. I don't really eat Filipino food, and being a vegan too, that was pretty interesting. So, but I appreciate the experience.
No, I get that, because I was born and raised here, and like I feel like my mom's generation is once from the Philippines. Every time I go visit there, I always feel like a stranger in a way where my nieces and nephews are always like, oh, like tita, like like I'll do it for you, and then like I never really get to embrace it as much. But
the culture is just, I feel like,
it's like
different.
very different. Like as long as you like put your foot in there, like it's like the people there are.
But it was an eye opener for me, because I'm like, I felt like I have to prove to them, like, look, guys, like, I'm part of you. I don't know if you're gonna embrace me, but I'm trying to figure this out. I want to be part of the culture, and I don't speak much Tagalog either, but I know the second time I'm going to go back to the Philippines, it'll be a better experience for me. Even better, because it's different now. There's so many more mixed kids like myself, so it's a lot different. Bruno's popping, her is like, we're at the top of the charts for mixed people. So I feel honored to be a part of that clique and to go back and
since
do it.
you've mentioned you've kind of in a sense basically worked in both industries, like the entertainment industry in the Philippines and then here in the West, how different was that for you? Or like is the experience completely different, or like are their processes the same?
Yeah, it was different for me because I was just ignorant. I didn't really know much except that Filipinos, we love to sing covers.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to sing covers. I want to sing my songs. And they're like, whoa, you need to do this first. You need to sing more covers. So it was a struggle for me to understand that and to just kind of, not that I was disrespectful, but you know, when your songs are playing on the radio and you're like doing stuff with these major artists, I was feeling myself a little bit, and I could have been better, you know, attitude wise. But yeah, I think the interesting thing now is Filipinos are more open to original music. There's a lot, you know, like
especially now.
Yeah, JR is like the guy over there, you know, and so he's really about more of the original music too. So I really appreciate that. Chris Lawrence and a lot of the others.
They're like those two are like my OG Filipino R&B like idols.
Yeah, yeah.
So every time I hear their music, it's very nostalgic.
Yeah,
for
when
me.
I went there, I met them, and I'm like this. They're like, "Do you know who that is?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, "That's so and so." You know, and to see how like JR has this new 20-year anniversary concert that's coming out and everything, to see how they just blossom, it's really nice. It was really, really cool to see that, and you know, I still have a place as well, and here I'm still here.
If given like the chance to work in the Philippines again, because you have kind of mentioned it earlier, would you wanna kind of work or kind of like do like TV shows again, or kind of just like promote your music in the Philippines again? Yeah,
we have plans to go back next year, and I'm actually doing some collaborations with some major artists, and it's really cool. You know, I feel much better. I think during COVID is when I kind of got reintroduced into the Philam community.
Yeah,
because I was kind of like, man, they weren't feeling me. I don't think it's gonna happen. Because I felt the love, but then I didn't, and then maybe it was just my own hangups because I just didn't know. So when you open your heart and you're more humble, which I feel like I'm practicing more and more, you know, and I'm a chill dude, but I just, you know, when you're so set on one thing, it's good. But then if you're not open to the other stuff, you it's limited for the possibility that could come in, you know. And in this industry, I don't know what's going to happen to my career as far as like being accepted more in the mainstream era, the UK, the Philippines, I mean, Taiwan, Africa. I don't know. I'm more open to all of it now. I feel like I'm more of a worldwide artist now, even though I'm in LA, and I would love LA to like jump on board more. And I feel like you guys should wake up and realize like this dude right here, I've been grinding for a while and I'm doing this great music, you know, but you can't force people. Yeah. You can just be organic and just continue to let it grow and marinate.
I had a quick question. This might be just a tad off topic, but I was just curious because I didn't get to really talk to you too much when we were at the Soundevoo event. But how did you get to know TRAKLIFE?
TRAKLIFE. I believe just through friends, and then you know, Erwin. There was a Christmas thing that we're doing last year, and he was like, "Yeah, I have this movement, and I think it'd be good for you to be a part of the community." I'm like, "Great," because I love the community aspect about other independent artists that are in need or just want to just feel a part of something as a movement. So we did the Christmas event. They filmed it, and it was an original Christmas song called Christmas List that we did last year. And that's how I met him, and I've been down with TRAKLIFE ever since. I got to meet you ladies. It's been awesome.
Is that the event with Mix?
It was the Mix event,
okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like working it half of the time because at that time I was still like half an intern. Okay. So I was only doing like the hours that I could.
All right.
So yeah, I was like, the event itself was really great because then I was able to see like all these original like Christmas music from Filipino artists. And for me, I was just like, you know, Christmas, Filipinos, Burmans, like it's like
it's already Christmas.
I know,
right? It's Christmas in my house.
September 1st is already Christmas.
I know.
Exactly.
It's I was playing that earlier today. Like it's on my playlist already. So Christmas is dope.
And then being with TRAKLIFE, it's like apart from like meeting TRAKLIFE, who are like some memorable people that you've worked with or that you've just simply met while like going on this like musical journey?
Oh, and overall?
Yeah, and overall.
Let's see here. I really appreciate LL Cool J. He was a really dope when I first met him, like just to see how he came from New York and the hip hop aspect. He's great. Babyface, really, really like, these are legends. Like when you see them, you're like, yo, like I can't believe it. You know? I never met Prince. I regret that. I would love to have met him. Who else? I mean, there's a lot of people in my head as far as like, I don't want to name drop or anything, but yeah. And then Nicole from the, just to see her and the girls and how they, at that time, they were just really the best R&B girl band ever. And to see how the fans would just cry and respond to them, I'm like, yo, that's what I want. I want to experience more of that, you know? So they were very, very nice.
We'll cut real quick.
Can we cut everything?
And then
yours, you keep the audio going, right?
Yeah.
Keep the audio going. Can we reset the cameras? Because it's like a 30-minute timer.
Yeah.
Oh, no worries,
Yeah.
no worries.
We don't want to cut your video.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have to turn it off and turn it back on because it has a 30-minute timer. So it's going to shut off randomly.
Okay.
Recording? Yeah. Okay.
And then so with all those like, after meeting, I guess like legendary people is the best way we could say it. Had that like inspired you more? Like after you met them to like, oh, I'm gonna work harder to kind of like be, not so much be like them, but kind of just like get to my own like journey and kind of meet my own mark. Yeah,
it's inspirational when you meet people that you admire that are cool. It's the opposite when you meet them and they're not for whatever reason, you know? I mean, just imagine this person that you've admired so much and then you meet them and they're just like trash, a total jerk or not cool at all. I'm like, what? You know? So you just got to decipher. I mean, the fame and all that, it is what it is. For me, it's not the driving point, the number one driving point. I mean, of course, I would love to continue to be more famous, you know? But I just want to be acknowledged for the work. The hard work. That's the number one thing. I don't care so much to be the celebrity. There are perks that come with it. You know, I've been working so hard. So to be able to like get free merchandise and to be able to have access to do certain things and for people to like, hey, I know you. You're Honoré. Honoré, you know, I love the purple and stuff. That's very gratifying, you know. And because, you know, as artists, real artists, you know, we put our heart and souls in anything that we do, whether it's a painting, whether it's a script, or music. So. And
then, since I'm assuming obviously you write your own music.
Yes.
And then you also collaborate with other people. Since you've been doing this for a long time, do you still feel like it's hard for you to kind of make songs, or like, do you feel like you have to outdo the last one that you just made, or like rebrand yourself to kind of be more different?
Yeah. I don't want to say it's hard. I just feel like you're continually evolving. I think we are. No matter if you're an artist or not, you're as a person, as a human being, we're growing. You know, we're getting older. We're evolving into different aspects of our life. But the marketing aspect comes into play when you are attempting to rebrand yourself and reinvent. And that's why I love Prince so much, because he always reinvented himself with each and every new album. He wrote everything, he produced it. He had a different specific look for that particular album, which is really, really dope. You know, us artists these days, we kind of look all the same. You know, we just wear Supreme and, you know, all the cool stuff. But individually, just being your own person, being your own vibe. And, you know, when people see me, they're like, we don't know who you are, but you look like an artist, or you look something. So it's like, cool. It's all authentic with my branding, with my energy and my vibe, you know?
I feel like artists have like a certain like air around them that even if you're not wearing flashy clothes or whatever, like people will know, or like they'll feel it that you're like not just like a quote unquote regular person, that like you're someone that actually has something that most people don't have.
But that's also what I like appreciate, like when you're saying it's like the self acceptance portion of it. Like, you have to really love yourself for you to put out the music and the things that you love to do
and reach your full potential.
Yeah, exactly. And I know we were talking about it earlier, but how is your journey as a singer, songwriter, producer with self-acceptance?
Good question. The basis of my music is always love. You know, once again, that 90s R&B vibes in the early 2000s, it was really about that. You know, majority of those songs were off of a love experience. And not to say they're not today. It's just a little different. I do want to challenge myself, you know, with my current album, Purple. It's all self-written and produced by myself, except for one song, which is Dying for Your Love, which is from Snow Allegra, which is another contemporary R&B artist that I absolutely love. But yeah, for the new album, which I'm currently creating right now, you know, I'm like, what do I want to say? You know, what do I want my fans to take away from this new album? You know, Purple, they get it. You know, the vibes of whatever I brought to the table with that. And just try and challenge it, you know. And so I try my best to not listen to as much music right now because I don't want to confuse certain things. But, you know, Twyla, the Water song that's like popping right now, make me, you know, that's dope, you know. But I'm like, oh, I want something like that. I'm like, no. You know, let me try my best to like be as authentic as possible, you know. And if it happens the way it is, I don't beat myself up for it because if it's dope and people resonate to it, then it's a success upon creation. But I definitely, for me, I want to challenge myself, you know, whether with collaborations as well, you know, people that come to me and say, hey, Honoré, I want to collaborate with you. You know, first thing is the question is like, what are we talking about? You know, what's the song going to be about? You know, if it doesn't align with my movement, I can't. I don't think I can do it. You know.
Do you, since you kind of mentioned the Tyler song, the Water song that's all over TikTok, do you feel like with like the rise of social media and like streaming platforms and everything, do you feel like pressure that you have to kind of make like a trendy song? Because I know some people who have been told that they have to make a trendy song just so that they could be like the next artist. Do you feel like there's that pressure on yourself?
I mean, it's out there. I just do what I do. Of course, we want something that's going to emote an emotion throughout the community and hopefully the world. Yeah. So if it is like a Twyla song, if it is Beyonce or something like that, great. But yeah, I just go in and like, all right, what am I feeling today? You know, having a conversation about this awesome podcast. Yeah. If there's a song in my head or, you know, that could come through, meeting, you know, amazing people from all walks of life, that those are, for me, is the inspiration to write. And if it becomes a trend, great. Yeah.
And then you mentioned Prince earlier.
Yes.
We wanted to kind of ask you, since you have like very top artists or like very classic and like well-respected artists as like your idols, along like a few years from now or like in the future, how do you want people to kind of know you? Like you and your music, like what kind of legacy would you want your career to have on people?
I would want them to be like, yo, that dude was sexy. No, I would want them more than anything to know like this dude, he's a kid from LA, you know, that was just chill. He was awesome. Like his music spoke to me. I like the fact that it was authentic. You know, I'm not going to write about something that I got a Bugatti, you know. I may write like I got a BMW because that's, you know, I'm going to write the stuff that's relevant in my life. I'm going to write stuff that's going to speak to women because I feel women are the best, you know. My love for women, it goes deep because I have 5 sisters. So growing up with these ladies had helped me become more sensitive to that approach. Had I had 5 brothers, who knows? I could be the biggest, you know, something out there. So, you know, being able to speak to that community or to everybody too. You know, it's not always about R&B. You're just trying to be the sexy dudes for the ladies. Yes, but then what about the guys? You know, what about the other communities out there? I want to speak. You know, that's kind of universal. That's my goal.
Well, yeah. I really appreciate you coming here today, but I think this is going to be the end of our episode. For this one. But I really do, like, enjoy talking to you about, your past. Like, you know, it's inspirational to me because, I mean, for me, I'm not speaking for AJ. I'm not a singer-songwriter.
Yeah, you sure?
You know?
She wants to be.
I'm not a singer-songwriter. I do want to be. No, I really don't. But, you know, I do appreciate, like, everyone's story. Like, it's just everyone is so different where they get to where they are. But to me, learning about it makes me inspired to even potentially try to do it or help someone, like let's say my niece who wants to do it, like kind of be the guide to help them.
Nice.
Or like just getting to know you apart from like who you are as a musician, just getting to know you as a person, because I feel like that's what people forget. Like music isn't just music. There's like a real human being behind it. There's someone who wants to share something that they just genuinely love, and I feel like people kind of forget that that middle person is a person, you know, and you're not just like a product. You're not just a thing that just puts out music whenever you want, whenever the fans want. And yeah, I just appreciate you able to share us like who you are, what you believe in.
Thank you. We are real people, and we have feelings. You know, come on, guys. But you know, every artist is different. You know, I can only just speak for what moves me. But yeah, being a part of this podcast is very beneficial to me because people get to hear the conversations and see, hopefully get something out of it, and there's some substance to it too, versus like, hey, I'm cute, why don't you follow me on TikTok? Like there's so much more than that. You know, for me it's like the music's got to be right. The music has to speak, it has to create that vibration. And so I'm very grateful to be a part of this podcast, and we're in the 5-footer club. I love that, you know.
But yeah, thank you for sharing your wisdom, because as many of the people listening know, we're new to this industry as like working professionals. So learning from someone who's been in it for a while, it definitely helps us kind of gauge our expectations, but then also gauge how to go about certain things, because we can really only depend on ourselves and then the people that we're learning from. So finding people who are authentic and honest and true is the best kind of, I guess, weapon that we have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you for spending your mornings, noons, nights, late nights, or whatever time zone you're listening in to us today.
And please do follow us on our socials at Short Asian Girls Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, X, Threads, any other social media, honestly. Also, head on over to TRAKLIFE.music on Instagram, and also on every other platform to catch up with TRAKLIFE's projects and our podcast. And would you like to plug in your socials
yes.
right now?
Well, yes, follow me on Instagram, Honoré Music, Honore Music. You can click the link. There's like links to my album, Purple. If you have streaming platforms, check that album out. I would really encourage you guys to. If you really like good R&B music that's cool and sexy and honest and authentic, and it's from a dude from LA, you know, check it out. I think it's really great.
And speaking of streaming platforms, if you want to listen to this episode or any other episodes, head on over to YouTube and Spotify at Short Asian Girls Podcast.
Yes, and don't forget to use the hashtag
Shorties Moment.
That's hashtag SHORTIES moments to share your favorite moments from our podcast, whether it was today or previous or future, because you never know, you might end up on this podcast.
And we will always obviously be seeing it as long as our guests, so please keep them nice. Yes. But yeah, this is your Short Asian Girl, AJ.
And I'm your Short Asian Girl, Sarah Michelle.
And this is our lovely guest,
Honoré.
Signing off.
Yes.
But please also don't forget to live your life to the fullest, because just like us, life is too short.
Yes.
See you in the next episode.